that's never been me. I say good evening to everyone.
Amen.
What a great place to be on a good windy night. Still in Revelations. Now we're getting over to the good part. Revelations chapter 21. Revelations chapter 21. Quit your yawning. She's already yawning. I think she's trying to fall asleep on me already. Revelation chapter 21. We've been studying through this book. We're down to the last couple of chapters in it, and we've been seeing God's judgment poured out upon the land, and seeing all that's happening. Now we get to see some of the good parts of it. The next two chapters describe some of the things that happens or is going to happen in the future. You try to imagine, as I was reading this, the beauty of the new city that's coming down, and how it's described, and it's just hard to imagine of what that may look like. But he starts off and says, "And I saw a new heaven and a new earth. For the first heaven and the first earth were passed away, and there was no more sea." Now, I don't know exactly what the no more sea means, but to me, it's saying that in this new heaven and this new earth, that there won't be any need for the sea. He says that He's the living water. We won't need it for thirst. There won't be any work to do as far as shipping or moving of goods. We'll have all that we need. But there's a new city that's coming down because the old has passed away. I think in the judgment that we've seen, and we see how He poured it out upon those that was left, that it just burned everything up that was left. And he says, "And I, John, saw the holy city, New Jerusalem, coming down from God out of heaven, prepared as a bride adorned for her husband." And I think this is a representation of the church that's going to make up a large part of this new city, or at least those that are in the new city, along with God's chosen people, the Jews, will be those that will be in the city. But we are often referred to as the church as as Jesus' bride. We are the bride of Jesus. We see that again referenced here in this verse. When it talks about the new earth and stuff, I wanted to go back and read some things from the Old Testament to see how it was predicted of this happening. Also, even, a lot of people think that it's just something that happened in Revelation. It's just something that's new, that's showing in here. But we can go back to even Isaiah. Isaiah foretold a lot of the coming of things to happen. But Isaiah 65:17, he says, "For behold, I create new heaven and a new earth, and the former shall not be remembered, nor come into mind." So Isaiah is talking about the word that God had put into him to reveal to him that he is going to create a new heaven and a new earth. And we can also go over into the next chapter, 66 of Isaiah, in verse 22, if my marker don't slide away. He says, "For as the new heavens and the new earth, which I will make, shall remain before me, saith the Lord, so shall your seed and your name remain. So we can see that God is already calling forth and even in the Old Testament, foretelling the things that he can see. You see, God had a plan all along. God had a plan all along. He knew that man would fall, and even we can go back to the Garden of Eden and see how man fell and sin came in when Adam took of the forbidden fruit. And the fall of man, as God kicked him out, and he could see down through time of what was going to happen.
Why are we going to need a new earth?
Because what's going to be left here is going to be burned up. As we see God's judgment in the things that we have just studied over the last several chapters, as God pours out his judgment on those that last, that are here on the earth, and he passes his judgment to put those into through the second death, which he brings up here also here in just a minute. What is left is going to be burned away. He's going to purge the earth of all the sin that was in it by burning it up and creating a new heaven and a new earth. Purge the earth of all the sin that is in it. Verse 3 says, and I heard a great voice of heaven saying, behold, the tabernacle of God is with man, or men, and we will dwell with him, and they shall be his people, and God himself shall be with them and be their God. Isn't that something so wonderful to think about? Of being with God and all the things that is going to take place. I wanted to go into, and another one I was going to run here, which I didn't. 2 Peter in chapter 3, in verse 10, he says, for the day of the Lord shall come as a thief in the night, in which the heavens shall pass away with a great noise, and the elements shall melt with fervent heat. The earth also and the works that are therein shall be burned up. So, Bobby, that might help answer your question. This is Peter is writing this. Seeing then that all these things shall be dissolved, what manner of person ought ye to be in all your holy conversations and godliness, looking for and hasting unto the coming of the day of God, wherein the heavens being on fire shall be dissolved, and the elements shall melt with fervent heat. So we can see the destruction of all, but we can see John's talked about here that of how God will be with us. All the time. You know, sin separates you from God. Sin comes into our life and it separates us from that love. And I know myself, there has been times that I have felt that love between us or that relationship we have has been severed somewhat. I don't feel him sometimes as close as I do other times. And sometimes when that happens, most of the time, I've got to look and see what it is in my life that's causing that separation. Because it's something that I've done. You know, his word is always true. He's always right. He's always the just judge. So it's when something that I've done, and most of the time it doesn't take very long looking to figure that out. Sometimes it's things that I've done and some things that I should have done that I haven't done. There's been times that I know things are going on around me and I should get involved or maybe say something to someone or go witness to someone, and I put it off because I get so busy, or at least I think I'm so busy I don't have time. I often think of Stephen when he talks. He's preached here and told us a couple of times about doing work at his house, and someone called and said, you know, we need you to come talk to someone. And he says, well, he don't have time. He's got work to do. But he left and remembered, well, you know, what good is it doing the work if he don't do the work of God? And went and saw and helped someone, led someone to the Lord because he was obedient. And I often think that sometimes when I don't feel God's presence, and I think, Lord, I haven't done anything wrong that I can think of, but then I have to also think, am I doing what he's telling me to do? To do good and do it not, it's what? It's sin.
No to do good.
So sometimes it's not what we've done, it's what we haven't done. But we can see, can you imagine being in the presence of God all the time when that sin and that temptation and everything is drawn away from us and we just have access to him fully all the time? That just almost sends chills down you, doesn't it? To think of how great that will be. Because he says here, and God shall wipe away all tears from their eyes. And there shall be no more death, neither sorrow, nor crying, neither shall there be any more pain, for the former things are passed away. Oh goodness, wouldn't that be great? To know that all the suffering that we have here on this earth, our bodies as we get old, it decays. We can't do the things we used to. Well, I've often used something that Jerry always told us. He says he can still do everything he used to. It just takes a lot longer. Someone was telling me, I told him the other day that I was feeling I'm getting older, but she said, yeah, but don't your mind still tell you you're young? I said, yeah, it does, but I know I can't do some of the things I used to. But there's coming a day when that's not going to be true. Sandra, you'll be able to get up and stand up as long as you want to stand, and your back's not going to bother you. Won't that be something? Won't that be something? No more crying, no more death, no sorrow, no pain. And he that sat upon the throne saith, behold. Isn't this something? We kind of shifting gears here just a little bit, talking about an eternal purpose here for God. And he that sat upon the throne saith, behold, I make all things new. And he saith unto me, write, for these words are true and faithful. There's other places he tells him not to write, or tells the people of God not to write, because there's some things that we're not meant to know yet, or we may not understand. But this, he says to write, it ought to bring an encouragement to us. To know that all that we go through here is worth it all at the end.
A lot closer than it was. Told old Daniel, all right, shut it up.
Yeah.
Not from them. He told old Guns to write her down.
Yeah, he did. He did. And he said unto me, it is done. I am Alpha and Omega, the beginning and the end. I was thinking of Alpha and Omega. He was there at the very beginning, at the foundation of the world, when they formed all there was. He was there. And we can think of the thousands of years that has passed since then, and he's still here. I can feel him just as sure as anything else, and he's still here today.
Amen.
And when the world is burned up and the final judgment comes and we get our reward, he's still going to be there too, John. Still there. Isn't that something?
I'll never leave that.
Isaiah 44:6. I want to run that one. Thus saith the Lord, the King of Israel, and his Redeemer, the Lord of hosts, I am the first, and I am the last, and besides me, there is no other God. Isn't that a good one? I thought that was a pretty good scripture there when I looked at it. But he is it. He's all. He's going to be the all. For he that overcometh shall inherit all things, and I will be his God, and he shall be my what? Son. Boy, isn't that a good one? I've preached a lot of messages on that. John here. John 1, and what is this verse over 1 and 12? John 1 and 12 says, but as many as receive him, to them give him power to become what? The sons of God, even to them that believe on his name. Already, when you believe upon his name, you are already the Son of God. And another one I wanted to look at here, if I can find it here real quick. Romans 8 and 16 says, the Spirit himself breathed, that's not it. Romans 8, yeah, that's 8 and 16. The Spirit itself beareth witness with your spirit that we are the children of God. And if children, then heirs, heirs of God, and joint heirs with Christ. If so be that we suffer with him, that we may be also glorified together. Boy, isn't that good? We are going to suffer here on this earth. When you take a stand for God and for Jesus Christ, there are things that's going to happen to you. You see, when you're out in the world and going along with the world, the devil doesn't have any reason to battle with you. But as soon as you take a stand for Christ or a stand for God, he's going to come after you. And that's when you'll have friends that will turn on you, family that will turn on you, strangers will turn on you, because God uses, or the old devil uses all of them, every tool in his arsenal to come after you. And you will feel that. You'll feel the battle. So if we stay the course and battle with him and stay with him, it is worth it all the way to be the Son of God. But the fearful and unbelieving and the abomination and the murderers and the whoremongers and the sorcerers and the adulterers and all liars shall have their part in the lake of fire which burneth with fire, or in the lake which burneth with fire and brimstone, which is the second death. Now, this verse here describes the beauty of the New Jerusalem, and I know I'm going to butcher some of these names, so you might as well just get ready for that. I even played them last night on my phone. I got the Bible, and I do it quite often. I'll hit it and have it read to me. And I told Patsy when I went through them, I said, you got those all, don't you? But talking about the beauty of that city. And there come unto me one of the 7 angels, which had the 7 vials full of the 7 last plagues, and talked with me, saying, come hither. I will show thee the bride, the Lamb's wife. And he carried me away into the Spirit to a great and high mountain, and showed me the great city, the holy Jerusalem, descending out of heaven from God. Can you imagine being carried away in the Spirit? And that's what John started all this with, was being carried away in the Spirit. To a mountain when you can see the city coming down out of heaven and being formed. And he says, having the glory of God, and her light was likened unto a stone most precious, even like a jasper stone, clear as crystal. The brightness of God. It says that when that Moses asked was it Moses? Abraham, that asked to see God, and he said that he couldn't see his face. Moses, and told him that he could see his hind parts and had him to turn his face. And when he saw his face, that when he came down from the mountain, that his face shone so brightly that the people couldn't even look at it. That he had to put a veil over his face because he was so bright. Can you imagine how bright that would have to be to make your face look so bright that people couldn't even look upon it? The brightness of that city coming down is that bright. And as we talk about, we're going to talk about the size of the city, and then we're going to talk about the jewels of the city. I was thinking of that bright reflecting off of the beauty of those jewels that we're going to talk about, how beautiful that city must be. And had a wall great and high, and had 12 gates, and at the gates 12 angels, and the names written thereon, which are the names of the 12 tribes of the children of Israel. And on the east 3 gates, on the north 3 gates, and on the south 3 gates, and on the west 3 gates. So we have these gates of this city that is cubed. Not only is it square, but it's also the same distance high as it is along each wall. And each of these had 3 gates on each side for the 12. It says, and the wall of the city had 12 foundations, and on them the name of the 12 apostles of the Lamb. And we know those. We've heard of those guys before, haven't we? And he that talked with me had a golden reed to measure the city and the gates thereof and the walls thereof. Remember back in Ezekiel and Boo used to preach it so often, of the one that had the reed in her hand that measured the waters. So they used a reed as a measuring stick. It was what they used, a kind of like a surveyor's rod. And they use it to measure. So they're going to measure the city. He said, and the city lieth 4 square, and the length is as great as the breadth, and the measure of the city with the reed 12,000 furlongs. The length of the breadth and the height are the equal. So I'm going to tell you that is a pretty high. But everything that I read said that would equal out to about 1,500 miles down each way and 1,500 miles high. That would be a big city, wouldn't it?
Be a cube, wouldn't it?
It's a cube. 1,500 miles cubed. Now I know from here to Louisiana, when we travel here, it's just a little over 1,000 miles. That's a long ways. And you wouldn't be but 2/3 along the length of it. Oh, that would be a great city of great size and great height. Now, I read one commentator thing that said that there is no way it could be 1,500 miles high because the highest mountains, and they talked about the elevation of the earth, you can't breathe when it gets that high. They said go higher, you wouldn't be able to breathe. But I was thinking, now they just don't know God, do they? Not in this natural body, no, you couldn't, but with our new bodies, I think we can do anything. Jesus walked through walls with his body, new body. I think we can walk through walls with ours, and I think that we'll be able to breathe as high as we want to go. I started to write that in that commentary thing and send it to him. Boy, isn't it going to be big? And the measure of the wall thereof of 144 cubits, according to the measurement of the man, that is, of the angel. And the building of the wall of it was of jasper. And the city was pure gold, like an unto clear glass. Gold that is so refined and so good that it is clear as it can be. And the foundations of the walls were garnished, now I'm going to have y'all help me with these words, with all matters of precious stones. Their first foundation was the jasper. Now, and my Bible here has this, and think of these colors of this. Jasper is a green. I better keep fingers in two places here. I'll lose it. The second was a sapphire. Now, a sapphire is blue. And the third was a chaldean. I can't really pronounce that, whatever that is. But it says it is also a green, but a different color. Then we have an emerald, and an emerald also is green. And the fifth is a sardox. The sardox, it says here, is red and white. And the sixth is a sardis. And it is a color of a blood red. The seventh was crystallite, which is yellow and gold in color. Beryl being the ninth, and the beryl that says is also a light green. And a crystallis, which is the 11th, which is also a green. Did I forget topaz? Okay, topaz. What is a topaz? It says it is either a greenish gold or yellow. The 11th, a jacinth, which is the 12th, which is a bluish purple, and the last one, an amethyst, is purple quartz. Now, I was trying to imagine all of those colors with that glory of the light shining through it. Oh, how you think a rainbow is beautiful. The colors that city will have with that light shining through it, what a glorious, beautiful place that would be. My mind can't even comprehend how the beauty of that city is what it's going to be like. Isn't that something? And the 12 gates were 12 pearls. Several gates was of one pearl. And the size of a pearl must be to be the size of a gate. And the street of the city was pure gold, as it was transparent glass. How pretty that was. I think I've told you all the story here of the rich man and the Lord come to get him, and he was wanting to know what all he could take with him, and he said, well, when you die, you can't take nothing with you. He said, oh, but I'm rich, I got to take my most precious stuff with him, and he bargained with the angel, and he finally said, all right, you can take one suitcase with you. So he packed it up real quick, and he took it up to heaven, and he said, all right, what's your most precious thing you have? And he opened it up, and it was gold. And he said, of all the things you could bring, you brought asphalt. And he says, I saw no temple therein, for the Lord God Almighty and the Lamb are the temple of it. Hey, folks, you're not going to need a temple to go in and to worship the Lord. He's going to be with you all the time. You won't need to worship Him in a temple. He's going to be right there with you, isn't He? And the city had no need of the sun, neither of the moon. It shined in it, for the glory of God and the light lighting it, and the Lamb is the light thereof. No day, no night. We don't need that sun and moon. It's all going to be one long day because the sun, the S-O-N, will shine. And the nations of them which are saved shall walk in the light of it. And the kings of the earth do bring their glory and honor into it. And the gates of it shall not be shut at all by day, for there shall be no night there. Folks, the gate, don't need to lock the gate, is it? No need. We were talking about this not very long ago of how you used to be able, you could just leave your house unlocked, keys in your car, whatever you wanted to do. Nobody bothered it. Well, that might have been you I was talking to. There was no need to worry about it.
Talk about Jerry, your brother.
And, well, Jerry's still like that. I can go down to his house, but now he has a brother-in-law in a trailer in front of him that never leaves, and he's very well versed in handling weapons. So anybody pulls in the driveway, he calls Jerry and tells him, is somebody supposed to be here, and describes them to him. But we can imagine, we used to live like that. I can remember when I was a kid, we left the windows up at night to cool it down, and fans blowing, and the doors usually open to help bring the air into the house. Boy, you can't do that anymore, can you?
We slept last night in park front door and locked it. I didn't know.
They'll come and take your house away now.
Never even knew what air conditioning was.
I didn't either. And I told somebody it was bad here. I used to go to Louisiana and stay with Jerry when he first got married and rented the house, and it didn't have air conditioning either. And it was a lot hotter down there than it was up here. No need to shut the gates. There is no night. And they shall bring the glory and honor of the nations unto it. And there shall in no wise enter into it anything that defileth, neither whatsoever worketh abomination, or maketh a lie. But they which are written in the Lamb's book of life.
No sin.
No sin there, no evil. What is it that Angie used to say? And the devil's not there either. The devil won't be there. That's a pretty good lesson tonight after studying all the ones we've been studying.
Greg wanted to be here for that one.
Huh?
Greg wanted to be here for that one.
Yeah. Well, he usually watches it. We've recorded it, so I'm sure he'll watch it. Anyone else have anything for tonight?
I think that's about the way it was with Adam and Eve before the fall.
That was one of the things I was going to bring out, and I forgot. But yes, I really think, I don't know about the colors. I'm sure they were very vivid colors in the garden. I don't know that they had there was night there, because it says that God came down and walked with them in the cool of the evening. But I think a lot of that same no sin, just a tempter there at one point, but I don't think they probably got old. I don't think they had aches and pains, not until sin entered. I think that was a big part of what heaven was going to be like as well.
Every time I used to get my dinner bird, I think, well, Adam.
Oh,
Yeah, he caused this.
he caused it all, didn't he?
It'll work.
All right.